I mean, we've had countries calling me when they saw some of the killing with Hamas, saying we'd love to go in and take care of the situation ourselves. In addition, you have Israel would go in 2 minutes if I asked him to go in. I could tell him, go in and take care of it. But right now, we haven't said that. We're going to give it a little chance, and hopefully there will be a little less violence. But right now, you know, they're violent people. Hamas has been very violent.
The president commenting on the delicate Gaza ceasefire after 2 IDF soldiers were killed in Rafah. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner are in Israel right now, trying to keep things from unraveling there. Alex Gray is former White House National Security Council Chief of Staff under President Trump, and he joins us now. See, here's the conditions of Phase 2 of the Gaza ceasefire, with Phase 1 mostly complete, still some dead bodies to be returned. Hamas to surrender weapons, hand over administration of Gaza to independent technocrats, and a board of peace to oversee post-war Gaza administration and reconstruction. But here's where Jared Kushner says Hamas currently is. Listen to this.
Hamas right now is doing exactly what you would expect a terrorist organization to do, which is to try to reconstitute and take back their positions.
Right.
The success or failure of this will be if Israel and this international mechanism is able to create a viable alternative. If they are successful, Hamas will fail, and Gaza will not be a threat to Israel in the future.
What do you make of what he said? Because Hamas is a terror organization, and terror organizations do not have a great track record of laying down their weapons when they're asked to.
Well, you're 100% right, John. Jared's 100% right. Of course, it's a terrorist organization, but we need to remember the only reason that we are in a position where this unrepentant terrorist organization is even at the bargaining table trying to adhere potentially to this deal is because President Trump did something the Biden administration couldn't do, which is to take Israel off the leash and let them militarily put the Hamas terrorist organization in such a position that they have had no choice but to come to the table the way they have now. Ultimately, President Trump is going to have to continue to exert pressure through Israel and through other means to keep Hamas honoring its word. But we have to remember, we got here because President Trump was able to do something that no American president has ever been able to do before.
I know, but they're like Putin to some degree, or like the old Palestinians, where they come to the table, they negotiate, they say the right things, and then they do all the wrong things. President Trump's trying to keep the path to peace alive. Here's what Axios said. U.S. scrambles to save Gaza peace deal amid new clashes. The U.S. told Israel the focus should be on isolating Hamas for its violations and actions and moving fast toward creating an alternative for Hamas in Gaza rather than resuming the war. What alternatives are there for Hamas, though? I mean, what were the alternatives for al-Qaeda? What were the alternatives for ISIS?
Well, the alternative for Hamas is Israel wipes them off the map. I mean, that is the alternative. And I think that what
I think when they say alternatives, they're looking for, well, here's your place in society.
Well, I don't think that you're going to be able to have Hamas, as it's currently constituted, join in some sort of kumbaya in the administration of Gaza. I think the president's going to be able to compel them to act in their own self-interest, which is survival, by having the card that he has really assiduously played, which is Bibi Netanyahu can be taken off his leash and they can wipe Hamas off the map. I think that Hamas knows the president is willing and able to play that card, and that's the leverage that he has in this deal.
All right, so here's what President Trump said about the situation on Air Force One yesterday. Listen here.
Well, we're going to have to see what's happening. We want to make sure that it's going to be very peaceful with Hamas. And as you know, they've been quite rambunctious. They've been doing some shooting, and we think maybe the leadership isn't involved in that. You know, some rebels within. But either way, it's going to be handled properly. It's going to be handled toughly, but properly.
You know, I think the president was alluding to a lot of Hamas factions, getting rid of rival clans, et cetera. But Steve Witkoff told the story on 60 Minutes, where he sat down with the negotiator from Hamas who lost his son in that Israeli attack on Qatar, and they both talked about losing the son. Steve Witkoff to a drug overdose, this other Hamas person to the Israeli strike, and there was some sort of connection there, but it's kind of like, okay, you connect all you want, but on the ground, the situation doesn't seem to be getting better.
Look, I think there are going to be factions of Hamas, maybe large factions, who are going to do the traditional Hamas move of trying to consolidate power, take advantage of ceasefires. Again, John, I think what President Trump has in his back pocket is the ability to say, look, we will allow the Israeli Defense Forces to do whatever is necessary to compel Hamas to negotiate, to the table. We will compel them to do the right thing here. And I actually think Mr. Witkoff's story, that is the human angle here, that there are going to be parts of Hamas that see that destruction is the only thing waiting for them. And I think there will be enough of them that hopefully they'll take President Trump's deal.
Right. Well, we'll see. But I fear that there's going to be some who are saying, forget it, we're going to go down fighting.
Probably will be some.
Don't know how many of those there will be and how many other people they'll take along with them. Alex, great to see you. Thanks for
John.
dropping by. Appreciate it.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.